vast shimmering expanse of the Pacific, in the autumn of 1944, a chapter of World War II was about to be written in blood and fire. On a tiny, sun-scorched coral island named Peleliu, thousands of American Marines stormed the beaches. They were told the fight would be over in days. They were wrong. Few knew that this forgotten speck of land would become the backdrop for one of the most brutal, controversial, and mysterious battles of the entire war. A battle so savage that its memory would be all but erased from history. Peleliu is just 6 miles long and 2 miles wide, a mere 10 square kilometers of coral, limestone ridges, and dense, suffocating jungle. It seems utterly insignificant on a map of the Pacific. So why did America, in the midst of its island-hopping campaign toward Japan, decide to attack it? The decision was shrouded in intense debate at the highest levels of command. Admiral Chester Nimitz, the commander of the Pacific Fleet, saw Peleliu's airfield as a potential threat. General Douglas MacArthur was preparing his long-awaited return to the Philippines, and the thinking was that Japanese bombers based on Peleliu could strike his flank, jeopardizing the entire operation. To secure the Philippines, Peleliu had to be neutralized, but not everyone agreed. Some senior officers, including Admiral William Halsey, argued vehemently against the invasion. They believed the island held no real strategic value, and that Japanese air power in the region was already crippled. Intelligence reports suggested the Palau Island Group, where Peleliu is located, could be bypassed entirely. The cost in lives, they warned, would be far too high for an objective that was, at best, a secondary concern. The warnings were ignored. The decision was made. Operation Stalemate 2 was given the green light, and the 1st Marine Division, veterans of Guadalcanal, were sent to take the island. They were told to expect a tough but quick fight, lasting no more than 3 or 4 days. On September 15, 1944, the invasion began. As the landing craft approached the shore, the tranquil beauty of the island exploded into a vision of hell. The pre-invasion naval bombardment, thought to have obliterated all defenses, had barely scratched the surface. The Japanese were waiting. The Marines hit the beaches under a storm of artillery, mortar, and machine gun fire. The pristine white coral sands turned red. The temperature soared to an unforgiving 45 degrees Celsius, or 115 degrees Fahrenheit. The heat was so intense that rifle barrels became too hot to touch. Water, contaminated by oil and transported in foul-smelling drums, quickly ran out. Men collapsed from heat stroke before even seeing the enemy. The coral itself became a weapon, shattering into razor-sharp fragments with every explosion, shredding uniforms and flesh alike. But the greatest shock was the enemy's new strategy. The Japanese forces on Peleliu were commanded by Colonel Kunio Nakagawa, a brilliant and ruthless tactician. He had studied previous island battles and knew that the suicidal banzai charges of the past were a waste of manpower. He forbade them. Instead, he ordered his 11,000 men to adopt a new doctrine, a battle of attrition. They would fight a war of delay, bleed the Americans for every inch of ground, and make the cost of victory so horrific that it would break their will to continue the war. Nakagawa had turned Peleliu into a fortress. He interconnected over 500 natural limestone caves with a vast network of tunnels, creating a deep, subterranean defensive system immune to air and naval bombardment. Every ridge, every crevice, every hill was a fortified position with interlocking fields of fire. The Japanese defenders would not charge out to die. They would wait in the shadows of their caves, hidden and patient, ready to turn the island into a meat grinder. The Marines on the beaches had no idea they were landing not just on an island, but on top of a fortified mountain. The American commanders had predicted the battle would last 3 days. It took over 2 months. The initial push to capture the airfield was successful, but it came at a staggering cost. Beyond the airfield lay a series of jagged coral ridges, which the Marines grimly nicknamed Bloody Nose Ridge. This complex of high ground became the heart of the battle. For weeks, the fighting was a brutal inch-by-inch slog. The Marines would capture a ridge during the day, only to face a ferocious counterattack from unseen tunnels at night. Every hill had to be taken, lost, and retaken. Every cave was a death trap that had to be neutralized, one by one. The fighting was personal and horrifying. Flamethrowers were used to burn defenders out of their caves, the screams echoing through the tunnels. Satchel charges were tossed into openings, sealing men inside their own tombs. The Marines of the 1st Division were pushed to their absolute limits. After a month of relentless combat, they had suffered over 6,500 casualties, more than a third of their strength, and were withdrawn, shattered, and exhausted. The Army's 81st Infantry Division was brought in to finish the job, and they too were dragged into the same brutal, cave-by-cave warfare. The battle for Bloody Nose Ridge alone lasted for weeks. As one soldier wrote home in a letter, "We fight for a place no one will remember." It was a sentiment that captured the growing sense of futility that haunted the men on Peleliu. The endless cycle of death and destruction for a piece of rock seemed utterly meaningless. When the island was finally declared secure on November 27th, the grim reality of the cost became clear. Out of nearly 11,000 Japanese defenders, almost all were killed. Only a few hundred were taken prisoner, most of them wounded or dazed. But the American price was staggering. The Marine and Army units combined suffered over 10,000 casualties, with nearly 2,000 killed in action. For a single tiny island, it was one of the highest casualty rates of any battle in the Pacific War. And then came the most haunting question of all. Why? Why did all these men have to die for Peleliu? In the end, the strategic justifications for the invasion proved to be almost entirely false. The airfield on the island was barely used. The intelligence that warned of a threat to MacArthur's Philippines campaign was flawed. In fact, Admiral Halsey, who had argued against the invasion, had successfully proven that the island could be bypassed just days before the Marines landed. But it was too late to call off the operation. So was it all a tragic, avoidable mistake? Historians are still divided. Some argue it was a catastrophic failure of intelligence, a battle that should never have been fought. Others suggest that inter-service rivalry and political momentum made the invasion unstoppable, a move to justify previous plans rather than adapt to new realities. There are even whispers of more mysterious reasons, unconfirmed reports of secret Japanese installations or signals that were never truly understood. The battle was so traumatic and its strategic value so questionable that it was largely downplayed in official histories and public memory. It became the forgotten battle. Today, Peleliu is quiet. The jungle has reclaimed the trenches and rusted relics of war. A few monuments stand in silent tribute, and the caves remain, dark and empty. In the American cemetery, rows of white crosses overlook the calm blue ocean. Each one marks a life given for this forgotten island. Of the 17,000 Marines who landed here, 1 in every 3 would be killed or wounded. For an objective that ultimately meant so little, the price was unimaginable. Was Peleliu a necessary step on the road to victory? Or was it, as many now believe, the bloodiest mistake of the Pacific War? The answer may forever be lost to time, buried with the men who fought and died on its shores. Thank you for joining us on this journey into a forgotten corner of history. If you found this story compelling, please like this video and subscribe to our channel for more deep dives into the past. We'll see you next time.